Hello and good evening to round 2 of the HSO New Zealand Touring Car Championship, coming to you tonight from Teretonga Park, just outside Invercargill in the very southern tip of the South Island of New Zealand. And we'll be doing about 55 laps around this just on 1.6 mile circuit, consisting of about 7 turns, which has provided some very close running early on during the run up to this event. We currently have on the server 9 cars within a second, and most of those are within about 1.5 tenths, so hopefully the racing will be really good tonight. Also, before we head into qualifying, which is just a moment away, as I just throw out a friendly reminder to all the drivers about the 2-lap qualifying rule. And let's see if I can actually find what I was going to... sorry, that's the wrong one. There we go. So the current point standings for the championship is as the last end, rounded off in terms of the top 5. As I hear that in the background, I need to remove that file. With Åcerclinth in the lead of the championship on 25 points after his last lap pass on Matthias Weber, who lines up second in the championship. Jan Titz in the Volvo lines up third in the championship on 17 points. Fourth is Thiago Canola on 14, and Steve Parker finished 5th and therefore picked up 12 points. I'll also quickly throw up the point structure once again, so we all can get somewhat reminded of how it looks for the championship, with 25 points for first, 20 for second, 17 for the third place, 14 for fourth, and 12 for fifth, and then 10 points decreasing by 1 down to 15th position. As while in the background, I believe the qualifying has just ticked over pretty much, as we'll try to find someone to ride on board with. Let's actually jump on board here with Raoul for a lap around the track. As he just navigated turn 1, which is called the loop, and now into Castrol, this double apex right-hander, into the S's, this left hand and right hand corner, and then we have the hairpin right here, this left-hander, somewhat tricky braking zone, but pretty nice run for him. And then this left kink is the brickyard, and then down into the elbow, which is technically called the CWD elbow, but that's a little bit a bit of a tongue twister, so I'll leave that out of the equation. So now I'll shut up and let you ride on board with a full lap here. A very scruffy lap for Raoul there, but hopefully his second lap will be better, as we currently have David Saber in one of the Mustangs up in front. You can see him going through Castrol and into the S's. You can see they're really dancing with a bit of a slide going through the second part of the S's into the hairpin. And fantastic camera angle, I must say, of the Brickyard. And then of course into elbow for the second time for to finish his second lap. A bit late on the throttle, I think, but hopefully he'll have a nice lap anyway. We'll have a look as he crosses the line. And it's a nice lap, but Thiago in one of the Mitsubishis is clearly flying in this championship, driving one of the works machines. Oh dearie me, I really need to do something about that. Let's see, has anyone else gone quicker yet? No, but we have Juha Boos, who I believe will be crossing the line for his first quick lap. And I do know actually that Juha has a new computer, so he'll probably be struggling a little bit. Here's Mikael Drexler in the number 24 Jagdparts car. He wasn't here last time out. That car was piloted by Jonatan, who has picked up one of the Ford Mustangs for the remainder of the championship. Really nice exit for Mikael there. He'll probably do a pretty good lap. And he does indeed, a 2.7 ain't bad at all. Erik. Just let this camera be for a bit as I try to sort out the sound in the background that is really playing loud in some camera angles, so I'll be right back. I think I know which one it is, but I don't dare do it right now, so I'll have to do it a little bit later. As here comes Mick Chapman to set his first lap of the session, and he'll have 1 lap to go. So let's ride on board with him for this, and then have a check of how the grid will line up. Of course, this first corner is horrendous. So long, you never think it'll end. And then this is a very tricky braking zone. Trying to get the power down through here is not easy either. Seems to be balancing it right on the edge, as we can see with Mick here. Actually, I had to reset the throttle as well for a moment, but I think he will have carried some decent speed. As someone has taken down one of the marker boards. Through the final corner onto the pit straight. And his final lap will be unfortunately for Mick, not an improvement, but we have on pole Matthias Weber, which is quite amazing to see him up at the front again. Second for Thiago in the Mitsubishi, and third for Grant Riddle, and we'll go through the rest of the grid when we go into the race session. Okay, thank you for letting us know, Philip. Sorry to hear that you won't be able to join us tonight. But hopefully you'll be back for the next one and enjoying yourself. Sorry if I'm a bit quiet, I'm still trying to work out exactly what's going on. Unfortunately, we'll have to live with the pit sounds for this event, and I'll do some digging and some testing and get rid of them for the next round. I thought I had them sorted out. But anyway, just a few moments away from qualifying. And yeah, hopefully everyone will have a good bit of fun. The racing should be fairly close, with it being quite a good level of track, as we could see with Thiago up in near the front of the grid as well, in a straight line anyway. Slightly slower Mitsubishi, but yeah, this location as well, while we wait for the race start itself, is often very tricky due to high winds, of course, it's being very close to the coast, as well as weather, with rain affecting race weekends almost without failure any time there's an event on around here. Ow. Okay, and this was also the location for the South Island debut for both Jack Brabham and Bruce McLaren back in the day when they were starting out. And the track itself was finished in 1957, with it having a slight alteration from the hairpin down to the last corner in 1966. Since then, the layout has been the same. And it's also the oldest permanent road course still in use in New Zealand. But anyway, back to the racing itself. We have Matthias Weber on the pole position in his Holden, second for Thiago Canola, and third for Grant Rudolph, fourth for Steve Parker in the Rover, and fifth for Jan Titz in the Volvo 240, sixth for Jon Team in his new ride, and seventh for Yves Placet, with eighth for David Saber, ninth for Ray Vidal, and rounding up the top 10 is Ryan Yannick. 11th is Michael Drexler, with 12th for Dave Miller, 13th for Raoul Jereb, and 14th for Mick Chapman, 15th for Bruno Chacon, and 16th for Eivind Andersen, 17th for Johan Bos and his new computer, and 18th for Filippo Marazzi. And rounding out the grid is a newcomer to the series, but certainly not a newcomer to HSO itself, Konstantin Shubov, our, I believe, Ukrainian friend who's been racing at HSO for off and on for just over 10 years, I think, maybe even longer, I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, we have the grid forming up here. As we can see, if we look back, it's quite tightly packed, the grid, but hopefully everyone will be able to survive, as we have Shubov lining up as the last car on the grid. Just waiting for him to stop. There we go. Okay, let's see. So we have just a few moments to go until the race starts. This will be a cracker, I think. We can hear the engine revs rise. And 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights. And the race is going, we're on the way. Oh, what a bad start for for Matthias Weber, and Thiago Canola is up into the lead. Fantastic start for Thiago, and here we can see Grant Vidal having a run, as does Matthias Weber around outside. Oh, they're 3 wide into turn 1. We can see 2x2 hurrah into turn 1 for almost the whole field. A bit more sensible at towards the very back of the grid, so we can see Jan Tits and Grant Vidal fighting, and Jan Tits runs wide. Still slightly side by side. Oh, and there's unfortunately a bit of a crash here in the back. I believe that was Mick Chapman possibly, and Brian Yannick, who unfortunately got caught up in that. Hopefully there will be no major damages for them, and into the last turn we go, with Thiago still in the lead, Grant second running wide, Jan Tits third, and Yves Placé fourth. And down this front straight we go, and look at that, what a beautiful sight. As Matthias Weber looks up the inside of Yves Placé, the rest of the field running fairly much line astern. Oh, and Matthias Weber actually got that position done. Thiago is actually, he lost 2 positions actually. Didn't quite catch what happened, but Grant Vidal is up into the lead. Jan Tits looking for a move up the inside in the elbow. Can't quite make that work. We can see Matthias Weber with that Holden really working down the front straight really well. Goes past Thiago Canola without too much hassle, and could actually have a look up the inside of Jan Tits as well. Not quite able to make the move stick, I don't think. And Thiago looking around the outside. That Mitsubishi is really nimble in the corners. And we can see further back, I believe that's David Saber who's got by Ray Riddell in the last lap. Actually, Grant Vidal ain't pulling away either, which runs wide. Here comes Jan Tits looking up the inside. But of course, the Ford Mustang is really quick in a straight line. Surprisingly, actually quicker than the Volvo, but the Volvo looks very nice in the corners. And here we go down the straight, and we can see that the Ford Mustang definitely pulls away. Oh no, we have another bit of an issue in the back. That looks like it's Ray Riddell who has had some kind of issue. Let's see maybe we'll possibly see what has happened. Oh, had a bit of a slide going and just unfortunately lost the car. Don't think he hit anything, so that's good. Oh, as you can see, fortunately Øyvind Andersen well off the road with some damage. That's really sad to see. Let's see what else is going on. Jan Team has gotten up into 4th position. Ahead of Thiago Canola. Yves Placé has dropped to 6th with Steve Parker challenging him, as I believe Grant broke on the grass there, possibly lost a bit of time. Looks like he's still in the lead though. And then we have behind them is David Saber, then comes Mikael Drexler, Raoul Yarev, Dave Miller, and then behind them we have Bors and Vidal fighting for position. And we can see another example of the Holdens running really well down the front straight, but possibly struggling a little bit in the trickier sections, which is so nice about the track. That the quicker cars can really work, but we can see here that the Holden is really under pressure coming through the loop, and Ray with his BMW 635 has a really good run coming through the tricky corners here, and he could possibly have a look in the hairpin, possibly, not quite, I don't think. He had to think about it. We can see up ahead how that looked like a pass being tried, but doesn't seem like it was. Oh, back in here goes Jonatan, trying to put Jan Tits under pressure. Slightly does, I think. Yet not, but you can see in the trickier corners the Mitsubishi pedal by Thiago is really closing in. It's nice to see Thiago racing. I know he had some troubles with his wheel, but it would seem like he's been able to sort them out. And yes, it was the HSO logger earlier because I was doing some adminning stuff, I'm sorry. Let's have a quick look down the grid to see who it looks like. Ray and Johan Boos has swapped positions. Oh, as we can see, Dave Miller unfortunately off the road. And of course in the gravel, which is very grippy to try and help cars stay out of the barriers. As he gets going, looks like he has dropped unfortunately to the back of the field that is on the lead lap. And that's sad to see, but that's racing, sometimes it just happens. You can see yet again Yves Placé and Steve Parker running really close together. And David Saber with a bit of a loose moment. When Steve really loose, holds on to to his rover though, really nicely done. Owen, as unfortunately Konstantin is off in turn 1 as well. Definitely a tricky corner, especially if you want to try and carry a bit of speed. Looks like Dave probably will retire. No, okay, he found the first gear and gets going once again. I would expect him to have a puncture, unfortunately. And Konstantin still stuck in the gravel, but working to try and get out of there. As you can see now, the top 3 has broken away a little bit. As Konstantin now gets out of the gravel and tries to get going once again. As Yves Placé has dropped from the back of Steve Parker and is now under pressure from David Saber. As we can see here, the rover working pretty well in the S's, while the Ford Mustang of David is a bit too heavy, I think. But it definitely has the power in a straight line. And of course it's 55 laps, so tires will come into effect to some degree. We can see here down the straight he closes in very quickly indeed. See here, Grant Ridal now under pressure from Matthias Weber. Of course last time out it was Weber under pressure from Yves Placé, but now he's the chaser. Let's see how that goes for him. as he has Jan Tits for company as well in the fridge freezer Volvo, as I know some people like to call the very boxy looking Volvo. And this is actually ought to be a pretty fair fight down the straight between the Holden and the Mustang. And of course one very fitting for Australasian area of the world where Ford and Holden is the main manufacturer of cars, as Grant runs wide, loses a lot of momentum. Let's see if Matthias can do anything with that. Looking for a good run through the S's. Looks like he got a good bit of power down. Possibly he can have a look in the hairpin. He definitely has a run. Oh, not quite close enough to try and throw it up the inside. Also a bit too early in the race to be doing that. But he has another good run. Jan Tits flashing his lights, possibly. Could be Thiago as well. I'm not entirely sure, but there was a position change behind this fight. Thiago's up past Jan Team, so let's see if we can find out how that happened. Oh, looks like Jan just ran wide. Well, just and just, but ran wide. Let's actually watch down the straight while we're on board. We can see the difference in the straight line between the two cars. You can see Steve Parker not far behind, and then David Sabras made his way past Yves Placer in the fight for 7th. We can see Yves being very quick in the curvy bits. And then there's a Works Holden fight with Bruno Chacon not far behind in his number 3 BMW 635. You can see slightly different driving styles between Mick and Juha. Juha a bit more sideways, as now Chapman goes up the inside. It looks like that'll be a position done and dusted, as Bruno gives Juha a bit of a bump as Juha was making room for his teammate. Oh, and Filippo has a bit of a moment on the throttle. Fortunately loses a bit of time. And unfortunately Dave Miller has decided to retire his car, as again Jan Team is ahead. It looks like the fight right now will be for the front of the field. As we can see, Grant trying to break the draft, I think. Possibly having trouble getting the power down. I'd say in terms of the track being a car breaker, as Matthias has a look at Grant. Well, I'll go back to that point later. Matthias is up the inside. Oh, there's a little bit of contact, but both of them managed to stay on the road. Grant really sideways going through the S's. That was really close, and Matthias might not be done just yet. Okay, he is. He has to left foot brake to keep the car in check going through the last bit of the S's. Oh, Grant runs wide. Matthias has a run. Going up the inside. Jan Tits flashing his lights for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. That's not quite correct, but Matthias goes up the inside. Grant gets a little bit of a shove from Jan, but Grant now behind in the draft. Let's see what he can do. You can see him going up the inside, going towards turn 1, and late on the brakes, both of them. They both hold on to the grey stuff, if only just, and Matthias takes the lead of this race. That was really close, but great racing. Jan possibly thinking of a move up the inside there, not quite able to do it. We can see it seems like a bit of understeer in Grant's Mustang compared to what has seemed like a bit of oversteer in Matthias's Holden. Let's actually have a quick look down the grid so that you can all find your favorite drivers if you are so inclined. And Parker and team fighting for 6th and 7th, I believe, or possibly 5th and 6th, as Thiago is off wide outside of them both. Comes in onto the track just with them. Jan Tits just got past Grant Riddle as well. Let's follow this little fight for a moment or two as Steve, I thought he'd go up the inside there, but it's technically not a passing place as they go into the hairpin. Jan running just a tad bit wide, so maybe that's a Mustang trait as Parker thinks about the inside going into the elbow, but thinks better of it. Jan team runs wide though, and that's Parker up past him. Let's see what team can do in a straight line. You can see that he already pulled past Thiago. See if he can do anything about Steve. Doesn't look like he will. Being just a tad bit careful. Oh, as Thiago goes up the inside. Very nicely done. Let's have a look at this pass on board Thiago's car. Wow, look how far back he is and how late he is on the brakes. We can see Jan trying to hold the inside line, but he just quite can't. The Holden is a bit too heavy and the lighter Mitsubishi just shoots up the inside. That's a beautiful pass. And here's the fight for second still going on between Grant and Jan. Grant having to go the long way round. But possibly still able to... No, Jan fights back up the inside. Has the inside line. Let's see what happens towards the exit as Jan Tits has to run. Grant looking for the cutback. And he's up beside him yet again. This is some great racing. Grant still not done. Really sideways, looking for a good run coming out of the hairpin, not quite able to do so. A lot of understeer for him. That's really his downfall so far. As we can see, most of the rest of the field is pretty much spread out. Mikael Drexler and Brian Yannick is in a fight, so Mikael has probably had some kind of issue. Yeah, I just noticed his left front is a bit banged up. Let's see, I did notice Ray runs wide. That's what I was noticing, that he was in a fight with Raul, who of course pulled away in the infield and then just locking the tires slightly going into the elbow. See, this is just a fantastic camera angle. Let's sit here for a lap or two, just watch the cars come through. Oops, apologies, let's do that. let's try to get back into the action, as it were. As we can see, Filippo Marazzi has been lapped, and the rest of the field. Ooh, as we have tried to pass from Bruno Chacon there on Juha Bors, and here comes Brian Yannick as well. But yeah, coming back to the bit of the track being a car killer, stopped talking about that a while ago. In real life, of course, weather is a big part in the southern hemisphere, and the southern tip of New Zealand especially gets hit by a lot of different weather, with the warm air streams coming from the middle and northern part of Australia, and of course the cold air from the south side of New Zealand. So it's a bit of a hot spot for troubling weather, and it of course often hits, according to what I've read, the southern island first. As I said earlier, no race weekend almost has experienced a completely dry situation, so in real life weather affects the race very often, and of course that leads to more trouble in terms of more likely trouble in terms of losing grip and going off the road. But with that being said, this Teretonga Park is regarded as the safest track in New Zealand, even safer than Pukekohe Park, according to what I've read. In terms of, sorry, Pukekohe is also in New Zealand. I'm a bit tired today. And that's sort of interesting, considering Pukekohe is more well known than Teretonga is. As Brian thinks about a move up the inside of Bruno Chacon going into the elbow. Let's see if he can get a good run. A good run, but it clearly shows that the Mitsubishi is lacking. Sorry, the Alpha is lacking just a tiny bit in a straight line. You can see Thiago has actually dropped back even further here. As Ray comes through behind him, and Raoul Jereb as Jon Team and Yves Placet is at it. Yves Placet was definitely thinking about it. Jan was able to hold him off for a moment, but here he is trying to have a run, but the power of that Mustang is plentiful. 5-litre V8 of course, compared to the 3.6-litre V8 in the Rover. Ooh. Nicely held, John. That was a big moment. Brake by is just a bit too far rearwards, I think. But really nicely held, to say the least. And here comes Yves, has a pretty good run. Runs just a little bit too wide on the entry. Oh, and here he comes on the exit. What a nice pass. Reading Jon's issues very nicely indeed. That's Yves up into 6th position. Oh, as he has a bit of a moment. I'll just double check that I'm not on replay. There we go. Let's see, other than that it looks like it's pretty spread out at the moment. Unfortunately for us, apart from this fight obviously, so let's go right back to it. As Jon runs a little bit wide in turn 1. Let's see if he can still get a good run coming out. You can see there, really having to wait and work the car to try and get it through turn 1. Of course, earlier we could also see a plethora of lines being used in the SS, which is another great part of these cars. Each make of cars drives just a tad bit different, so everyone has to find a car that suits them and that they can work with. As an example of that, when we did use these cars for a French championship, I was running one of the 635s and was having a decent run in the championship. Another driver was running, as we have this fight still going on as well, while another driver was driving one of the Ford Mustangs, which I have a lot of experience driving in another championship, and he was really struggling with the Mustang. So I said, well, if you want, I feel free to swap. And he was able to drive a lot quicker with the 635, and I didn't lose that much pace driving the Mustang, so it worked for both of us to swap cars, and both of us had a lot more enjoyment through doing that. And that was all, of course, also thank you to the admins for allowing that change to come through. As Brian has a few stabs going into or through Castrol. You can see that the Alpha has a really nice run coming out of the hairpin and through Brickyard and down into the elbow. He again has to think about it, gives Bruno a little bit of a tap, but nothing major. That's just one of those messages of I'm still here, don't forget I'm still here kind of things. Sort of Morse coding your way through, someone has said in the past. Well, we can see here this is really close between two Mitsubishis and Jon Team in the Ford Mustang and Filippo Marazzi, one of the lap cars up ahead, and I wonder if Jon Team is possibly using medium tires or something, because he has really dropped his pace after the initial 20 laps. I think we're nearly, we're pretty much halfway through this race now. So possibly Jon will be heading for the pits very soon if this continues. As we can see Thiago and Raul, here comes here comes Jon. That's one of the sweetest things about driving the Mustang, being able to do that to slightly slower cars, as here comes all of them through. As we go up the inside of Filippo Marazzi, as Raul runs wide, trying to carry just a bit too much speed. Makes his way back on the track very safely. Ooh, I spoke a bit too early, but that also sort of proves the difference in the cars. He gave Jon's whole Mustang a tap. Mustang barely reacted at all. Meanwhile, this lighter Mitsubishi had a big moment. Again, one of the beauties of the championship, as I'll rest my voice for a moment and let you look at the action from this very nice camera angle as well. So I'll be back in a few moments' time. see that Raul and Jon getting very close to one another. Let's see down the straight again. And we can see that Ray and Mick is catching up to this fight as well. As Jon switches back, goes up the inside going into turn 1. Let's see if he can get the car slowed down. No, he can't. Raul using the nimbler Mitsubishi to its full capabilities. As now Ray is looking at the possibility. Yeah, I'm sorry if that camera angle just doesn't work. I like the view of it, but that background sound is a bit too much. But still, the racing is fantastic. And here we have again Jon under pressure, and Ray goes by in the hairpin. Jon definitely struggling with the tires. Let's see down the straight. This will be a slightly more even fight than the ones Jon has had before. You can see Ray pulled a big gap coming out of the elbow, but down the straight it's still that 5 litre V8 against the I believe it's a 3.2 or 3.5 actually litre BMW engine, and that's actually enough to keep him ahead as Raul runs wide, and here comes Mick up the inside, just about ain't able to do so. Raul tries to rejoin ahead of them, can't quite do it, and has to let both of them by. Very nice rejoin by Raul, making sure there's no contact and no major time lost for anyone. And he has a nice run on Mick, but actually gives Mick a bit of a tap, but both of them hold on and racing can resume. And Mick with a big run, not quite able to do anything with it, but Jon running wide. This should mean Mick goes up another position. And Jon with a lot of understeer, he must be running 2 soft tires for that heavy Mustang, as he now loses the position to Jereb as well. We can see that the gap is opening up between the top cars. It's now 4 seconds between Matthias and Jan, and then another 6 seconds down to Grant, and then Steve Parker in 4th, actually the closest gap within the top 5. And then there's a few other cars fairly close together. That's for example, it's very close between Mick Chapman, Ray Riddell and Thiago Canola still, and Raul of course also close behind, and if Jon can hold on to his car, he could still have a shot at a very good finishing position. And we can hear really having to try and work out how to get the power down and how to keep the speed up. But of course Jackie Stewart would be pretty frustrated with that way of driving through a corner, as he when he was on Top Gear, I think he helped James May improve quite a few seconds, like I believe it would have been about 10 seconds around Walton Park, where he said that you only go on the throttle once you know that you won't have to take your foot off it again. That of course is the optimal situation, but it's still something to ponder, as Yves Placet and Thiago Canola is really close to one another, and Thiago really doing well with the Mitsubishi, really keeping a good bit of speed through the corners. Of course lacking down the front straight, but everywhere else he's definitely doing a good job, as I thought he would try and move on Yves there, but Thiago definitely proving to be a very handy peddler indeed. And a very good racer as well. Giving the faster top-end cars the run for their money several times. See Thiago trying around outside there, not quite able to do anything with that move, but good try either way. And Mick actually still holding on to race BMW. They've been at it for quite a few laps, as we're 36 laps into this race, so just under 20 laps to go. We unfortunately have two other retirements in Ivan and Konstantin Chabot. Sorry to see that, but I suppose they had enough, unfortunately. As we can see in the back, in the smaller window, Mick with that 5-litre V8 Holden had a big run on Ray down the front straight. Ray trying to make use of the BMW being slightly nimbler through the opening corner. Not quite able to make up for the time lost down the straight, but still chances back in here. That's of course the car that Ray is driving, and is the Jim Richards machine. And I actually don't remember from the top of my head who drove the number 7 machine in '85, but that's something I'll look up for the next one. As Jan team is now actually being lapped, so Jan has definitely dropped a lot of pace, unfortunately. And I do honestly believe it's all down to the tires. As that is probably a better camera angle to watch this fight between Yves and Thiago still going on. Thiago with a big run into turn 1. Just about holding on to the grey stuff and should have a good run coming out. Wow! Actually gives Yves a bit of a bump, telling him he's there and he wants past. That was incredible to see how much speed Thiago was able to take coming out. And again a good run, but not quite a passing opportunity, unfortunately. But another fantastic run. Yves holds on for now. If only just. Definitely a good fight going on here. And I know Thiago was enjoying his fight with Jan last time out. And hopefully he's enjoying this fight as well with Yves. And of course Yves is a very fair driver, very good to fight with, so there will be no histrionics here. There's some good old fashioned fighting. It's Thiago again looking for a good run. He has it. With a bit too much understeer. Possibly starting to feel tire wear a little bit. Everyone should technically be feeling a bit of tire wear by now. And Steve is still closing in on Grant. It's now only 2 seconds between them. Make that 1 second. Let's jump on board with Steve for a moment and see what he can see in terms of what Grant is doing. When Grant really sideways, he gets the car really nicely into the hairpin, but runs wide. Definitely struggling with understeer through there. Just like the other Mustang in the hands of Jon. Went deep into the elbow as well, but gets the power down and power slides out. That's great to watch. Just fantastic. Grant yet again Grant. And Steve a bit close again this lap, so always Grant runs wide, loses quite a bit of pace. Grant definitely having a bit of trouble with tire wear. He of course wasn't able to finish the race last time out with the screen freeze and picking up damage, so he doesn't have quite the experience of the others in terms of how the tires wear and what tires are the ones to use. And here comes Steve right up the trunk of Riddle's Mustang. But again, the power of that Mustang is immense compared to the Rover. But it definitely seems overall like the Rover is one of the best cars in terms of tyre wear. Steve's proved that at Manfield, and of course Steve is sort of proving it here. Late on the brakes. A short shift actually, that's interesting. When he has a good run, he could have an opportunity if he can get the car turned in here. When is he actually going to go round outside? No, not quite. Grant has a bit of a moment and Steve has nowhere to go. Of course, the Rover that Steve Parker is using is the Alf Barbagello driven one. He of course was later using a very eye-catching pink Rover, I believe a year or two later. I must say, to be honest, I sort of prefer that pink Rover over this white and green one, although the color scheme is very, very nice indeed. And here comes Steve with a fantastic run. Let's see if he can do anything with it. He definitely has to think about it. He goes up the inside, he definitely tries. He goes up over the curving in the grass, so Grant holds on for now. But this is getting close. Eves has actually dropped off the back of Thiago for now, and Ray has dropped off the back of Mick Chapman. So again, it looks like the closest fight is this one between Grant and Steve for third place at the moment. So it's barely 10 laps to go. This race has definitely gone quicker than I'd have anticipated, but it's great to watch. I'm not going to complain, the fighting is fantastic. As here comes Steve again, thinking about a look up the inside in the hairpin, looking for a run coming out. Grant runs just a tad bit wide, and I believe Steve has almost has an overlap, not quite. He needs to have a slightly better run coming out of the hairpin and through Brickyard to be able to stay on the inside. But he's definitely giving it a good go here. As we now have 10 laps to go, I believe. I don't think anyone has decided to pit this time around, so Wes Grant has understeer. And Steve is right behind him now, looking for a run up the inside. Oh, he brakes really late. He's up the inside. Oh, fantastic to have a go down into turn 1. He tries to be in the draft, but I think he's a bit too far back. Unless he tries an audacious braking maneuver, I think Steve will have the positions sewn up. And it looks like he has, so we can see that the difference in the cars. The roller much better in the long corner compared to the Ford Mustang, and Grant running even wider here, trying to make up time and loses more. So that's another position settled. As I apologize, it seems like the stream has gone a bit bad, but hopefully you were able to see that pass anyway. But still, Matthias Weber is in the lead. Jan Tits not a bit closer behind him now in second. Steve Parker, of course, up to third with that fantastic pass on Grant Vidal, who drops to fourth. And rounding out the top 5 is David Saber, but he has very close company from Thiago Canola, who of course was able to get past Yves Placé earlier, but now has a Holden to fight with. And Placé is of course in 7th, and 8th for Ray Vidal, 9th for Mick Chapman, and rounding out the top 10 for the moment is Raoul Jereb. 11th for Brian Yannick, as Grant Vidal is off the road. 12th for Johan Boss, 13th, and actually in the fight, I believe. No, sorry, he was a bit further behind, is Mikael Drexler. Jon Team is 14th, and final points paying position currently is as Mick Chapman spins off on the inside. That's not good for Mick. Bruno Chacon. And our last runner at the moment is Filippo Marazzi. Let's see if Mick Chapman was able to hold on, or if he lost a position. I believe he may have lost one to Raoul Jereb, but going back up the field, let's ride on board with the Mitsubishi, and the fight between that and that in the hands of Thiago Canola, and the Ford Mustang in the hands of David Saber, and Saber having a big moment going through turn 1. Thiago definitely having a better car in the twistier stuff here. Possibly better tire as well, considering it's a lighter one. We can see that Saber has had a bit of a tap in the left rear at some point, as Thiago has a fantastic run, but the power of the Mustang for now helps Saber to hold on when there's 6 laps to go. So this is far from over. You can see David trying to break the draft as best he can, and just scampers down the straight. We can see how late Thiago is on the brakes. That's immense to watch. Now let's see, on the power, gets the car turned in towards the late apex, and what a run. This could be a chance going into Castrol. And the S's, which is he actually going to do it around outside? Oh, a bit of side-by-side contact, but Thiago is through. Wow, that's even more impressive than Steve's pass on Grant a few laps ago. What a fantastic pass! Incredible. Let's see if Thiago can hold on after elbow in the last corner, as Saber takes as much road as he can around outside on the grass to try and straighten the last corner out. And here comes Saber with a wow, what a run! That top end speed. Into loop we go. Oh, and there's a bit of contact there. I believe Saber ran just a little bit wide, made contact with Thiago, and Thiago right behind him now. Now at least David's rear end is symmetrical. It looks like a bit of a dent in both sides of the rear. This is a fantastic fight. All the time this is going on, Yves is catching up as well. And I'll just have a quick look to check on the gaps in general, and for you to have a look at your favorite drivers and their positions, as this fight looks like the one to follow. Oops, my apologies, there we go. With 4 laps to go, Matthias still holding on to the lead, but it's a 2-horse race by the looks of things. Between Matthias and Jan. And Jan is still closing in, so he looks like he has saved a bit of tires, as has Thiago. So we'll follow this fight for another couple of laps and then have another look at the lead gap and what is going on there. We can see Saber really having to work that Mustang, and Thiago having a much smoother and easier run. I can assure you, both of them doing everything they can to try and hold on to their position. Oh, and Thiago actually goes up the inside in the last corner. That's a very opportunistic move, but I don't think it'll quite work out. And it doesn't. The gap has remained about the same for the lead. But that was really nice to watch. We can see here that Saber ran wide, but he came back on the exit. For the exit, but let's go back to live action, because I think it'll heat up here, as Thiago again has a fantastic run coming through the loop. And now looking around outside, Saber runs just a tad bit wide, but Thiago again up the outside, a bit of side-by-side contact again. And Saber still has to overlap, so Thiago has to leave the room. Oh, he just about pulls out ahead in the corner. Wow, what a pass again. It's great to watch, and Yves not that far behind, so there could still be a bit of an involvement here. Oh, as Thiago has a bit of a moment in the elbow. And let's watch this from Yves' point of view, as David goes ahead once again. And now Yves comes towards Thiago to try and make a move. Oh, this will be close going into turn 1. Oh, but Thiago's so late on the brakes in that Mitsubishi. Just absolutely incredible to watch. And again the run coming out. We're not quite close enough to David to make a move here, I don't think. Oh, I say that, but he has just not quite the width of a Starion to go through there. But oh, what a run through the last bit of the S's. Looking for a good run. I can hear in the background the Rover as well, not that far behind again. As we can see, I believe Thiago could possibly have a look. No, okay, he decides against it and tries to go for a good run coming out. Whereas David gets sideways. This is a bit of speed, so this could be Thiago's chance again. Let's just have a quick look. I believe this is the last lap, so we'll follow this fight and then try to catch leaders as they come through. So I guess I'll try to find a fight. Actually, I think we'll pretty much have Jan coming across the line to finish. He does indeed. So, oh, actually Jan took the win! Again, Matthias Weber loses out on the last lap. Oh, Matthias Weber ran wide on the last corner. Oh no! So Jan Titz takes the win. Matthias Weber again second with a last lap mistake. Third will be Steve Parker in the Rover. And let's see, fourth for Grant Rideau by the looks of things, unless something drastic happens. Nope, looks like that'll be it for him. So let's drop back and look at this fight, because it's still going on between Saber, Canola and Placé. Oh no, there's contact! Eee! Oh, I hope he can keep going. He does. There's a double spin, but Thiago tries to rejoin and he does so right in front of John. Not the safest of rejoins, but we can see here Yves being a really sporting man. Feels he was the fault of that and waits for Thiago to come across the line, and then crosses the line himself to finish. Very good and sporting move from Yves. That's part of what I mean with Yves. He's a really sporting driver. Let's quickly go through the field. Jan Titz finished third, Weber second, Parker third, Rideau fourth, junior of course. David Saber fifth, with Thiago Canola sixth, Yves Placé seventh, Ray Rideau eighth, Raoul Jereb ninth, Mick Chapman rounds up the top 10 with Brian Yannick 11th, Jon Team 12th, 13th for Juha Bors, 14th for Mikael Drexler in a very battered Holden, and rounding out the points paying position is Bruno Chacon, and Filippo Marazzi, our last runner, in 16th, with our retirees being Øyvind Andersen, Konstantin Subov and Dave Miller. But wow, what an ending to that race that was! That was just incredible to watch. What a fight! Just incredible. Really good fun to watch.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
And yeah, I'm just lost for words now. I must say. But yeah, just really nice to watch. But yeah, a really nice event, I must say. Some really good and close racing. All seemed and looked very fair, but I suppose I'll have to wait a couple of days to know for sure. But definitely good fun to watch, to say the least.
User joined your channel.
As we are also joined by Matthias Weber. Condolences once again on losing the win, but another second place at least.
Yeah, great. Yeah, this time I completely... Yeah, my own fault. Tires were done in the last 10 laps. It was really difficult to drive that car, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I had Titz behind me.
That's perfectly fine to say, since that's his name. But I understand the sort of yeah. But yeah, it looked like you had some good racing early on with Grant especially. And how did you find that fight?
Start was not so good, but it was really fair fighting with all the guys, and could overtake them really clean, I hope.
Definitely looked clean from what I saw of it.
And after it, I could get a little gap to the guys, but Jan was always around about 3-4 seconds behind me. And in the middle of the race, I thought about the tires, and it could be really close at the end. But last corner, I just hit the brakes too hard, and car just swinged a little bit to the right, and that's it.
Well, that's how close the racing is in this championship.
Yeah.
But again, condolences, of course, on not getting the win. But congrats on your second place, and I believe snatching the championship lead, unless I'm very much mistaken. I believe you will have it by points or two.
Well, it's great racing. These cars are so different, but lap times were so close on this track. Amazing.
Of course, I believe it was it like 3:10s covering 8 or 9 cars before the qualifying started?
Yeah.
Fantastic. But yeah, since we don't have anyone else, thank you very much for joining us, Matthias, for a post-race interview, and I hope you'll...
Thanks again for the broadcast.
You're welcome. I hope you'll be back for the next round as well, and enjoying
I think so.
Tiruma. Before we cap off the broadcast though, let's quickly look at the upcoming events here at HSO, where we have this weekend the Großer Preis von Österreich in the 1971 F1 Championship using Automobilista. That's round 8 of 11, being ran on the 14th of October. Same start time as this race. I believe there will be 1 or 2 cars possibly available for anyone wanting a late sign up. Don't quote me on that though, but I think there are probably going to be 1 or 2 cars available. Next up after that will be the Jaguar Challenge at Spa in Belgium for the HSO Gold Star Championship. Round 7 of 8 of that championship. To be run on Sunday, October the 21st. And of course after that, the following week will be the 3rd round of this championship, the 1985 New Zealand Touring Car Championship from Timaru, and the Timaru Trophy on October 24th. But with that, thank you very much everyone for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed watching the epic fighting that we saw this time around, and that you'll tune in for the next one in 2 weeks, I believe, time. Possibly 3. 2 weeks time, I believe. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and good night.